All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. In this one, I'm joined by my buddy Kevin, Buffalo Jet fan. What's going on, dude?
Ian, good to see you. Same stuff, different day feels like, right?
I know, I know. So, we obviously did a couple of collabs last week, and I wasn't, I mean, I was hopeful that we would have some sort of answer. I didn't think that anything would be like completely locked in at the quarterback position for the Jets, but I was hoping to get at least a little bit closer, steps in the right direction. It actually seems like it's the opposite with Derek Carr. 1A, 1B, however you want to look at it. Definitely a top three quarterback that's going to be out there, or realistically will be moved. What's your take on the whole Derek Carr, New Orleans Saints, Raiders possible trade release? What's your take on it?
Well, I think the Saints have been the most aggressive, and I think it's hard to pick another team that would be the front runner. We know he's not going to be a Raider, and the Saints are obviously interested. Now, whether he's traded or not, it could go either way. I think there's more benefit for Derek Carr to maybe be released. And if you're a team looking at Carr and you're confident that and you're meeting with him and he wants to be, a Saint, he could just say, all right, dude, just, we don't have to trade for you. When you get released, you can come back here and we can just cross the T's and dot the I's and get it signed. I think that's the way it probably goes. But yeah, I think he's probably going to end up with the New Orleans Saints. How they make it work with their cap every year, they're 60 million over the cap right now. So if they sign Derek Carr, they're going to be close to $100 million in cap space that they have to work under. But every year, come September, they're allowed to play like everybody else. I have no idea how they do it. But yeah, I think the Saints are all in. And look at that division. The Buccaneers won that division last year with a below 500 record, and now their quarterback is gone. So you got to think whichever team that got Derek Carr in that division would probably be the team favored to win it. So yeah, Saints seem like a likely move. I think it's a good fit for Carr.
Totally agree. I think looking at it from like a non-Jets fan's perspective, like if you're a Saints fan, like I would be totally pumped up. Totally, totally pumped up. I don't want to say it's going to happen. It just kind of reminds me of when the Chargers let Breeze go, obviously under different circumstances with the injury and everything like that. And then they wound up with like an average to above average guy in Drew Brees. And then all of a sudden they just take off. Drew Brees just continues to get better over time. I think Derek Carr is a great fit for what they want to do offensively. Great fit in the dome. He's the best quarterback in that division. But I got to be honest with you, it does rub me the wrong way a little bit that the Jets just are. It just seems like they're throwing their hands up. Maybe there's something going on behind the scenes. Maybe they did put in an offer and Derek Carr said, "No, I'm not going there." Like, screw that.
Right.
But at least from like a fan's perspective, from an outsider's perspective, it just doesn't seem like there's any want from the Jets to go out and target Carr. What do you kind of make of that? I mean, the Jets have been struggling to find this position for literal years now, years on end. And I don't want to be in a position. I've said this. I probably sound like a broken record. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, whether that's Rodgers or whoever. I just want the Jets to continue to take a swing at all of these different guys and the land one. There's so much pressure on the organization. Where do you stand with the Jets just, looking like that they're totally fine, just like letting a top 15 guy walk?
Yeah, I mean, and we're only going off the information that we have. So
Right.
it sounds like you're kind of referring to what Rich Cimini reported. I think it was last week where he was like, "Look, Rodgers is their plan A, and then Jimmy G is their plan B," and they're kind of not that into Carr. Now, I would like them to offer Derek Carr a reasonable contract, whatever, 4 years, 35 plus million a year, nothing over 40, nothing crazy. And if he says no, he says no. If he says yes, you have an above average, durable quarterback for the next few seasons, and you didn't have to give up any picks. If he does say no, then you have the next 5 or so weeks to pursue Aaron Rodgers and figure out what he's doing. Did he come out of his hole yet or not? And then you have an answer from Aaron Rodgers by the start of the new league year. And if you miss out on Carr and you miss out on Rodgers, then the legal tampering period starts on March 13th, and then you can work on Jimmy G. So I would like the Jets to at least aggressively pursue all three of those guys. And, if they end up getting Derek Carr, but and then they miss out on Rodgers, and there was some slim chance when he emerges from his retreat that he actually wanted to be a Jet, I think that's something you're just going to have to live with. I think the risk is it's a bigger risk to not go after Carr than it is to go after him or quote unquote settle for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, the hypotheticals are just crazy, man. Like looking at all these different situations and different scenarios, like how the Jets, like what they should do, what they are going to do, what their plan is behind closed doors. Like there's so many things happening, right? I think really, me, the Jets organization, Jets fans all across the world, they just want somebody who can take charge, right? Be the franchise quarterback. It's been so long since the team has had one. I just want to have that consistency, that guy that we can count on year after year after year, to put the Jets in a good position to have success, to lead the team back on a comeback, to spray the football around, not make dumb decisions with the football, not hold the team back, not be the anchor of the football team,
Right.
if that makes sense. But shifting gears to Aaron Rodgers, obviously he's going on the darkness retreat. Hopefully, according to him, he should have some clarity after that. Where I obviously everybody here wants Aaron Rodgers, but the one thing that's is being brought up is Jets versus Raiders. Jet
Mhm.
is it going to be is Rodgers will is he going to prefer New York over Las Vegas? But
Right.
personally, I think the bigger question is it's New York or Green Bay. And when I look at New York, obviously it's a great young team. They're not really paying like that many of their young players. Like all of their stud star players are on rookie deals outside of Quinn Williams, who's going to get that extension. If you're Aaron Rodgers and you're looking at the New York Jets, do you feel like you're in a better position to win as opposed to the Raiders, the Titans, the Colts, as another team that could be thrown out there when specifically looking at the AFC?
I would say so. I think that the defense alone, like the Jets defense is just leagues ahead of those other teams. Now, what's interesting about the Packers, I don't know if the Jets would be better than the Packers. Obviously, there's familiarity there. Now, I think the Jets roster has slightly, I would say, still more talent overall than the Packers. Again, heavily relying on the defense. You have to see how things shake out in free agency and draft. But the big thing to consider is if Aaron Rodgers is in the NFC, and he just he returns to form that he was like with before the broken thumb. He's probably the best quarterback in the conference. With all due respect to Jalen Hurts, if he comes to the AFC, he's probably like the fourth best quarterback in the conference. I would put him behind Mahomes and Burrow, and probably with Josh Allen's running ability, I'd put him behind Allen heading into his age 39 season. So that is something to strongly consider. The gauntlet through the playoffs, with the only thing Aaron Rodgers can do at this point to add to his legacy is win a Super Bowl, and the path to get there is a lot easier through the NFC. Look at the Eagles. Look, they had a great regular season, they earned it, but they beat Daniel Jones and like Josh Johnson, and then they're in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So that is something to consider when it's coming down to potentially Green Bay or the Jets.
Yeah, I'm looking at Minnesota, like 11-0 in one possession games.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to repeat that. I do think the Lions are for real. I do think the Lions will make a heavy push. The Bears, not so much. I mean, there's a real chance. I would say a better than average chance that the Packers win that division and that they're back in the playoffs next season.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like if Rodgers goes back to Green Bay and says, "Hey, you know what? Like let's do the one last ride thing, like Ray Lewis a couple years ago for Baltimore. Please get me some help. Like let's hit the free agency market. Let's be effective in the draft and really load this team up for one more season." I have a hard time seeing that Packers team getting like 9 wins. I'm looking at like 10, 11. But the thing is with Rodgers, you never know what he's thinking. He could be fully sold, like he could be like in his mind completely done with Green Bay. After like Devontae left and everything, like you never know what's going on there. But Jimmy G, it seems like he's the plan B. We talked a little bit about it before with that Samini opinion. Where do you stand with Garoppolo? I know we talked a little bit about it last week, but I feel like since last week, Garoppolo to the Jets has actually picked up a lot more steam. It's looking like, hey, this actually could happen if Rodgers does stick with the Packers. Garoppolo, thumbs up, thumbs down. Where you kind of stand?
I guess thumb in the middle. I think the pros to Jimmy G are I think that he would be well. Number one, you don't have to trade anything for him because he's a full free agent. Number
Yep.
two, I think you could get him. I think you can get him on a contract that would be cheaper than a contract for Derek Carr, and you'd have to commit less money. Like, could you theoretically get Jimmy G on a deal where it's like a 2-year deal, but there's an out after 1 year? maybe unlikely because he's a quarterback and some teams probably going to commit to him for longer than that. But, there's some flexibility there. If you don't want to tie yourself down to one of these middle of the road quarterbacks like Derek Carr or Jimmy G, although I think Derek Carr is a little better than that, then that could be seen as a positive. I like the player, but the biggest thing is, of course, the durability. If Jimmy G had no durability concerns, he'd be right in there in the mix with Derek Carr. To me, as a guy we should really be aggressively pursuing. I think there's still enough familiarity with the system. Change shouldn't be too much, and obviously he knows Coach Sala, and he has playoff experience. I like Jimmy G, and I think he definitely. There's questions about Derek Carr and how he'd fit in New York. To me, a lot of that is kind of based on nothing, but I definitely think Jimmy G would be able to hang. He just kind of has that presence about him. But if the Jets have Jimmy G, they would have like the most injury prone starting quarterback probably in the NFL. That's kind of his label. And it seems to be random stuff like a leg here and
Mm-hmm.
a shoulder there. And it's not like some sort of neck, head, or spine injury that you're worried is going to be career ending at any minute. But again, it's just always something new. So if there was a way that the Jets could do it and they could get out of it after 1 year, I'd be okay with it. But just signing up, hey, Jimmy G's our quarterback the next 3 seasons, he's just eventually going to miss a big chunk of time. That's the big thing that concerns me.
Yeah, if Carr and A-Rod are gone, Jimmy's the top option to me.
Yeah,
I'm putting Jimmy over Baker. I'm putting Jimmy over Tannehill.
Tannehill. Yeah.
So I don't know. It should be interesting. But thanks so much for hopping on. Hopefully, we'll touch base next week on this whole thing. Hopefully we'll have more answers than questions this time next week.
Hell yeah, man. Anytime.
Cool. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, go Jets.